Where is political discourse in our country headed? Is this the manner in which leading political parties should be attacking each other? Or should they try and set a more civil standard of attack? Even if there is going to be an attack, does it need to be so low-brow? Joining me on this broadcast, we've got Supriya Srinath from the Congress Party. We've got Geeta Bhatt, who leans towards the BJP and the whole saffron fold, as it were. Rajat Sethi joins us as well. And we've got Sanjay Jha. And I just want to tell our viewers that the BJP said it will not be joining us for this broadcast formally. So I want to go across to Supriya Srinath because she's one of the Congress leaders who's been leading this charge on Bael Buddhi. This is the Prime Minister of the country we're talking about. And to have these kind of memes, you're mocking the Prime Minister, what justifies, is this the right thing to do, Supriya Srinath? How do you explain in a country that is the world's largest democracy to have political attacks that get so downright dirty and personal?
Good evening to you, to my fellow panelists and all the viewers here. I'm a practicing Hindu, and as a practicing Hindu, I go with my scriptures. My scriptures teach me, Shathe Shatyam Samacharet. जो जैसा करता है उसको वैसी ही करनी भरनी पड़ेगी. Like in the Ramcharitmanas, जिन मोहे मारा तिन मोहे मारा is what Lord Hanuman tells Ravan when he says Lanka क्यों जलाई, उन्होंने कहा आपने मेरी यहाँ पूंछ में आग लगाई. I go with what the scriptures teach me. Mr. Narendra Modi, and because you started your program and twice or thrice there's been this mention of narrative and where is political discourse going? Absolutely. Political discourse has to be on joblessness, it has to be on high prices, it has to be on Manipur, it has to be on income inequality, it has to be on Bharuch railings that are falling apart because look at the number of unemployed youth that are turning up. There is no doubt about it. But if the BJP believes that they are going to come at us with words that are unparliamentary, with action that is unparliamentary, and we are going to sit there quiet, gone are those days. The BJP needs to be paid back in its own coin. And you are absolutely right. He is the Prime Minister of this country, an institution I greatly represent. A man who perhaps at his office needs to maintain the highest code of conduct as far as office and politics is concerned. Where was the Prime Minister and why was the Prime Minister not questioned? He spoke 9 days before we put out these memes. It took us 9 days, and I'll tell you why we put those up. 9 days back, in the 7-minute long speech of Mr. Modi that India Today did show before the start of the program, he spoke about Balak Buddhi 8 times. Do you believe that's the right thing for the Prime Minister to do? We were speaking about the leader of the opposition. There were no eyebrows raised. There were no debates that happened. No hell broke loose. Yesterday, and we did not react on this because we know that Mr. Modi is given into वो उलझन बोल देते हैं, वो काफी बेवकूफी की बातें कर देते हैं. He's known to say these things. We did not react to that because we didn't think it was an issue. But if the BJP's official handles on Facebook, on Twitter, if they are going to put out similar posts calling Balak Buddhi and putting a picture of my leader, I will retort.
Okay, so
and I will retort and I will make them pay them back in their own
coin. Okay, so hold that thought. Hold that thought. Supriya, you've spoken enough. You've spoken enough.
The problem with their posts is, Rahul, 1 second. No. Listen to me. The problem with the BJP is that their posts have no engagement because they make lazy, lethargic content. Their post had 2.6 thousand likes. Our post has 21,000 likes. That's the difference. So if you are going to come at us, be prepared for equal and more reaction that will come back to you. I will not let you malign my leadership or call words that are
let me put that question to Geeta Bhatt. Geeta ji, the response from the Congress is that jaisi karni vaisi bharni. You shall sow what you reap. You shall reap what you sow. And if you're going to attack the leader of the opposition saying he's Balak Buddhi, then the Congress will give it back in the same currency or worse. That's their argument. How do you look at the counter attack and the questions being asked about whether it is appropriate to call the leader of the opposition Balak Buddhi?
Well, Rahul ji, see, the point is that ever since in this Lok Sabha election, Congress party has got 99 seats and they have got, the legitimate leader of opposition space, which for the last 10 years they did not have. because they did not even have 10% of the 543 seats in the, in the parliament. They are trying to, look for opportunities where they can keep up, that conversation high that they are in a dominating position. And this whole idea of trying to put up this kind of a, ad by the Congress party and their supporters, it is something, you see, the point here is that when the Prime Minister speaks, there are, certain facts which are being presented with which he is trying to put forth that point. But when, you are trying to put forth an ad where you are trying to use a derogatory word, and that too, what is the context that is being put forth? For example, the context that is being put forth is that, pakoda, that it is someone who's trying to tell that, you can make money out of making pakodas. Is it something that is not happening in the country? Food and beverages industry. There are, especially in COVID, there are so many entrepreneurs who have come out, household ladies who started their, small business, and those who are making very good turnout and money using these kind of opportunities. So this is something, are there any facts which are related to it? And as far as it goes in terms of how many likes a post is getting, you see the algorithm and AI, they are what kind of, there's around it that how the, you get likes and reposts and the social media. So this is not something which can be used as a
so
measure
Rajat
to
Sethi, let me bring you in on this.
What is the like
Do you buy this line of attack? Is this really where political discourse in our country should be going? The Congress says this is a counter attack. The BJP started it, we are countering. I am very concerned about whether politics needs to be so downright personal and whether we need to have this gutter level attacks.
You are right. I think this is a race to the bottom. If at all Congress believes that, Prime Minister was wrong in the words that he chose against Rahul Gandhi, they should be rising up and raising the whole bar of political discourse above. But here, interestingly, Congress social media, which is being led by very eminent leader Supriya ji, and everybody knows her shrills that she deploys regularly on all television discussions, she would certainly drive the discourse even lower. This is just the starting, and I personally feel that this is a bottomless pit, and the narrative that will be unleashed on constitutional positions, this is not. We haven't reached another point. It is going to further lower in quality. It will further lower in discourse, and the country's democracy will suffer. It is the kind of culture that Congress would want to unleash. I agree that the jibe on Rahul Gandhi should have finally stopped, and BJP and the entire trolling that has happened for Rahul Gandhi has had a material impact on his overall being. And I do not support it. But here, if you want to come up with a strategy that, okay, if something wrong has happened to the leader, I will go double down on this and start and leave no stone unturned when it comes to abusing. It clearly reflects their strategy. If they feel that strategy is going to serve them, good luck to them. But I would have expected that if a genuine response was to come from Congress, they should have elevated the discourse.
That's an important point Rajat makes, Sanjay Jha. Why go lower? Balak Buddhi is bad, Bael Buddhi is worse. He says, if the Congress truly wants to be different, raise the standard of discourse. Why sink it even further?
Rahul, good evening. One of the most famous quotes that is applied very often in politics is, it takes two to tango. And let's be real here. The social media, Rahul, is an equalizer. And I remember for a long time, before 2014, when I had come formally on board of the Congress, we knew that the vilification campaign, the whole papufication project against Rahul Gandhi would prove to be a huge social and a political cost for the Congress party, and it played out. Rahul Gandhi, in my opinion, and I say so with complete, shall we say, dispassionate observation, has been the one politician who has been targeted in the most vicious, with the maximum vehemence, and probably with the most brazen prejudice that I've ever seen. And it was not just the political ecosystem that went after him. I think the Congress and he have both paid a massive cost for that campaign of reputation damage and what I call is the harassment that he was subjected to on social media. Here is the point, and that we cannot ignore. The Congress is now saying, खेल आपने शुरू किया है, खेल खत्म हम करेंगे. You see, at the end of the day, it's a competitive space for mindshare. And like it or not, it's a brutal space in politics because it's the last man standing.
No, but the fact is, Supriya Shrinek, most of the times in the past when there have been these kind of personal attacks on the Prime Minister, he's turned it around, used the attack to his advantage. Whether it is Maut Ke Saudagar by Sonia Gandhi, there's a whole series of these kind of attacks. Each and every time he's able to counter-attack and use it to his advantage. So you're potentially playing a dangerous game where the BJP can use your attack for a counter-attack, and in the past the Prime Minister has been very successful at that.
Rahul, let me tell you why that has changed. Remember that the social media by its very inherent
Just one second,
nature,
Sanjay. Let Supriya answer. I'll come back to you in a moment. Supriya.
Okay, I thought it was true.
So Rahul, I will first, I take cognizance of your question and I will answer that, but I will first respond to something that you said. You are deeply concerned and quote unquote at the gutter level discourse. Were you deeply concerned and did you do shows when the Prime Minister from
I just want to tell you we did do shows. We did do shows on Balak Buddhi.
Words like Mujra? No, please, 1 second. Let me please finish. Let me please finish. I'm asking questions that are rhetorical. It's not for you. Please listen to me. When the Prime Minister used words like Mujra, how many people lost sleep? How many tweets happened? How many anchors, editors were dismayed at the language that the Prime Minister was using? How many people were dismayed, distraught and devastated when the Prime Minister used words like Mangal Sutra? When he said, "Aapki bhains chura le jayenge, aapka toti aur bijli kaat denge." I mean, the Prime Minister has reduced the discourse to an extent where he was calling Dr. Manmohan Singh Mon Mohan and raincoat pehen kar na aate hain. I am not even going what he called my former Congress President, Mrs. Gandhi. I am not even going to the extent of reputation assassination that the BJP tried to do of Rahul Gandhi, and I'm all for it. You know, I'm all for personal attacks here. Somebody will come here and say, I have shrill deployment, I will this. I don't care. I do a job and I put my might at doing it. And if that means that I am going to pay you back in your penny, I jolly well will. I did not misquote the Prime Minister, and I think the point that you are making is a valid point. But that point was valid about 5 years back. That point is no longer valid today. This ability of the Prime Minister to use what is thrown at him to his advantage, it's a lesson of history. It's no longer relevant. Mr. Modi was mercilessly attacked through the campaign of 2024. He has been brutally curtailed. This is what Mr. Modi said. Radar, बारिश हो रही थी तो radar नहीं देखेगा. He says, सर्दी नहीं बढ़ी है, हमारी उम्र बढ़ गई है. He says, नाले में पाइप लगाकर एक गैस बना लो, उससे आप चाय बना लो. This is not my statement. This is what Mr. Modi is saying. Mr. Modi is not affected by this. I don't know why you guys dismayed. He is non-biological. It is biological people like you and me who get affected by taunts, who get affected by memes, who get affected by quotes. He is non-biological, which is why the BJP is not here. And may I dare say, the supporters of the BJP do more harm to Mr. Modi than actually his detractors. I mean, somebody who's a professor pontificating here how the pakoda economics is so good. Really? You really want to say that when unemployment is at a 9-month high? I mean, my issue is that if you are going to throw barbs at others, please remember they will be thrown back.
Okay, let Geeta Bhatt respond to this point. When you throw darts come back at you. That's politics. She said, bring it on. She says she's willing to get down and dirty. She says, this is politics. Sanjay Jha said, let it be the last man standing. Ho jaye dangal.
Rahul ji, just to put forth here, I'm just reminded that how during the, I think, 2018 Rajasthan election, Rahul Gandhi ji had first time used for the Prime Minister, Chaukidar Chor hai. And he had to actually, in front of the Supreme Court, he had to give an explanation that this was actually a political jibe during the Rafael case, when, that there was, the propaganda was set up by the Congress party. Supriya ji is a very senior leader. She has her point of, opinion on everything, including me. That is her choice. But the point here is that what happened and then how that, as Rahul ji, you just said, that how he had turned the campaign in 2019, मैं भी चौकीदार, and how the whole country had come out in favor of that line, that we all have seen. Also, let us also remember that the Prime Minister today, for the last consecutive, let me please complete.
Supriya, don't be unfair. Let us speak. Supriya, don't be unfair. Let us speak, please.
We have seen, Rahulji, that in the last 3 to 4 years, Prime Minister has been the most popular leader across the world, and this is a survey which has not been conducted neither by the government of India or any supporters of the political party, which is in power today. So the point is that by doing this kind of a negative campaign, probably for the Congress party is thinking that they will be able to in some way.
Okay, Sanjay Jha, respond to what Geeta Bhatt is saying, that the Congress, Rahul Gandhi came up with Chaukidar Chor Hai, the PM turned it around, मैं भी Chaukidar. He's done this masterfully in the past, and he and his team could potentially be looking for an opportunity to turn this attack around as well, that this is backfired in the past. People don't like it when people get personal, and this could potentially backfire again, Sanjay Jha.
See, Rahul, the first thing in politics that we all need to understand is that the public is a lot more discerning than we give them credit for. So, the whole, as you rightly have raised this very pertinent point, that if the public conversation is really becoming very abysmal, trust the people of India to take cognizance of who is right and who is wrong. I want to make 2 points here. Number one, you see, the social media, by its very inherent, intrinsic nature, that's the nature of the beast, is meant to be anti-establishment because the people get a voice. Over the last 10 years, I think everybody recognizes there has been a lot of fear in the country. And if you look at the 2024 campaign, Mr. Modi was more an object of memes and social media caricatures than Rahul Gandhi was. And I think it showed, right? Where if you look at the CSDS survey, Rahul Gandhi was seen as a more popular candidate for Prime Minister than Mr. Modi. So I think
that's
things
not correct.
change
That's
in
only
politics.
In some parts. Net, that's not correct. So don't misquote
Right.
data. You're much smarter than that.
I'm talking about Uttar Pradesh.
Okay, sure.
Uttar
No, so
Pradesh
let
But
Rajat
the
Sethi,
larger
let Rajat Sethi respond to what Sanjay Jha is saying. That now on social media, the Congress and Supriya often cites data to say that our posts are getting more engagement, more likes, more responses than posts put out by the government. Now, 2 things could have happened. One, after 10 years of being in power, the BJP ecosystem is satiated. They don't have that hunger, the kind of bhook they had when they were in opposition, and therefore they're not engaging with content as much. The second point, potentially that, the whole nature of social media is anti-establishment, and therefore if you've been in power for 10 years, a certain level of anti-incumbency will build up, and that will naturally find reflection. And that's the second theory. How do you look at it? This data that Congress is constantly banding, look at number of YouTube views for our speeches, look at your speeches, look at engagement on my post, look at engagement, whereas the base of the BJP support is much bigger than the base of the Congress or the opposition support.
No, I agree. Clearly we are not living in an alternate reality where polls are happening on YouTube likes and the Prime Minister is getting elected on the number of YouTube shares you are having. Fortunately or unfortunately for the Congress party, that's the alternate reality that doesn't exist. One thing is for sure, that Congress is trying to up the game, up the heat in social media, and they have resorted that, perhaps they've been absent or missing in action for a fairly long time. They need to do something around that, and they keep putting up videos, and I believe that they have taken a strategy where abuses are normalized, where you go out and attack even a BJP candidate. If there is a slip of tongue, you come out on television discussions, said, I did not say anything about Kangana Ranaut fighting from Mandi. You give, explanations which I personally feel is all bogus, but you keep tom-tomming your strategy saying that hua to hua, 2 abuse diya, 4 de denge, aage kya farak padta hai. This whole strategy of Congress party might be giving them dividends, but look at the voting patterns of the country, look at the number of states Congress party is in, barring the 2 states of Karnataka and Telangana, the reality for Congress party is still...
Let Supriya Srinath respond to this, that YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, these are not actual voters. The Congress is just about 41% of the BJP strength in the Lok Sabha. He's saying, okay, you can win on YouTube, we are winning the elections, we are in power, you are in the opposition, and good luck to you.
So what is this show on? This show was on the two narratives. This show was on the two barbs. That's the first point. I am willing to talk on the two barbs, and I will also speak about the political narrative, because given the strength that you have everywhere, you were supposed to end at 400. So what? You could not even cross 240. Let me not get started there. Let's talk about the issue on hand. You know, I don't want to sit here and give an explanation, because I don't think people here deserve that explanation. If they did, I would have given. My explanation is in the public domain. I do not need certificate from BJP stooges. But what I do want to say is, you know, the Prime Minister is so popular. Why are people not hearing his speech? Because his speeches are repetitive. They are boring. He's saying the same goddamn thing that he was saying before the elections took off. And the reality is, he's not talking about the issues that matter. Rahul Gandhi is talking about unemployment. He is meeting laborers. He is meeting loco pilots. He is meeting Agniveer families. That is why he's gaining popularity, because he is talking about
you don't know
the
that
issues
yet.
that are reflecting on the ground.
We will know if in Maharashtra, Jharkhand, Haryana, the BJP loses, the opposition wins, then you can say that. Right now, we don't know. You are saying he's gained massive popularity. At this moment, there is no empirical evidence of that post the Lok Sabha election. I mean, he's gained relative to his base, yes, but he's gained to make him equal in stature to the Prime Minister. I mean, we could be far from that, but ultimately we'll have the Mood of the Nation poll coming out in August, which will give us some indication.
Rahul.
Yes?
No, Rahul, I'll tell you what the problem here is, Rahul. I don't want a certificate from you either on whether the Rahul Gandhi has.
I'm not giving anyone a certificate. I'm just stating the data.
Metric has to be followed. If Rahul Gandhi's speeches are being watched by 10 lakh people and 70,000 people are watching Narendra Modi, there is a difference. Now you can say that's alternate reality, but that's a reality of narratives. That's a reality of who people want to hear. I do want to, however, say, you know, this whole thing about how the Congress is taking pot shots and what I have done to this. The reality is that the same sermons had to be delivered to Narendra Modi, because he was in a constitutional position when he was speaking about Mujra. आपने बोला अपने प्रधानमंत्री को कि मुजरा मत बोलिए, मंगलसूत्र जैसी घटिया बातें मत करिए. Don't talk about bhais and toti and bijli. Where did he take the discourse to it all through this election?
Okay.
People in the
now
BJP
Rajat Sethi,
that women in the BJP.
Rajat Sethi, respond to Supriya Shrinet's point that these are real people. Every speech on YouTube, every engagement or like on Instagram or X or Facebook, these are real people. पहले तो कोई नहीं देख रहा था. Now there are people who are watching. There is a turnaround. You can compare with the kind of responses these opposition leaders were getting in the past, the kind of engagement they're getting now. These are real people who are watching more than they were watching earlier. Rajat Sethi. Just one second, Supriya. Otherwise, we won't be able to have this conversation. Rajat Sethi.
See, Rahul, if you say that a comedy show has much higher views than an academician coming in and speaking, so the comedian show should be the comedian out there should be the Prime Minister of this country, what kind of a bizarre logic is that? Of course, you talk nonsense, then you will get more views. You talk things which make sense, you will have lesser views. That's how the trend of social media been. There is no two doubts about that. Today, if Rahul Gandhi is getting more views, where have you done the judgment that people are not there for their daily dose of entertainment? They want to see perhaps what entertainment he is going to serve on a platter every single day. That could be my interpretation.
Let Supriya respond that most of the Prime Minister's speeches, the vast majority, you're looking at a few words, but the vast majority of his speeches thrust is on governance, development. He's in power, therefore he has to be responsible. Rahul Gandhi is in opposition, so he can throw more punches, and therefore that makes his speech more enjoyable for lay people to watch. Supriya Shrinet.
I completely discredit your argument and what was said before this. It is bizarre and it's absolute nuisance and nonsensical to say that the leader of the opposition is doing comedy speeches and Narendra Modi is not. Forget about comedy. Let's have some comedy on your show this evening. मैं biological नहीं हूँ, मैं भगवान का अवतार हूँ. विज्ञान की ऐसी तैसी.
He didn't say मैं भगवान का अवतार हूँ. He didn't say मैं भगवान का अवतार हूँ.
This is fake news.
अरे आपके शो में उन्होंने कहा, आपके शो में.
Fake news.
एक मिनट, Rahul Kaval, I am asking you a question. You asked him on the K-shaped recovery. He said, सबको गरीब बना दूं. Is that the answer of a so-called academician prime minister? सबको गरीब बना दूं. उन्होंने ये नहीं कहा सबको अमीर बना दूं. उन्होंने पूछा कौन राहुल? And all of you laughed vulgar. What are you talking about here? Extra 2AB का एक formula ले आते हैं. पकौड़ा तल लेते। 140 करोड़ देश में है लोग, 600 करोड़ मतदाता मिल जाते हैं। विवेकानंद, गुरु नानक और कबीर अलग अलग सदियों में पैदा हुए, उनको एक साथ बिठा के बात कराने लगते हैं। ईमेल और डिजिटल कैमरा आने से पहले ही वो यूज कर रहे थे। उनकी फोटोग्राफिक नहीं फोटोजेनिक मेमोरी होती है। वो परीक्षा पर चर्चा करते हैं, खुद कभी कोई परीक्षा नहीं दी है। द रियलिटी इज दैट द प्राइम मिनिस्टर हैज डन एंड सेड थिंग्स दैट मेक फॉर ग्रेट कॉमेडी, बट दैट्स नॉट व्हाट वी आर हियर फॉर. We are here to talk about governance, and the one moot difference between us and the Prime Minister is that it is not Rahul Gandhi who's saying the things that the Congress social media is saying. It is we who are saying it, and we want to say it. But it was Narendra Modi who started Balak Buddhi.
No, but the problem, Geeta Bhatt, is...
We paid him back. You are willing to walk the talk on decency, on discourse, we are willing to walk it too. If you are not going to walk it, we are no saints.
Geeta, but what we are seeing is quite unprecedented. In the last 10 years, the BJP has attacked and attacked very brutally. This whole campaign of the papufication of Rahul Gandhi was a very successful BJP attack, and it found social traction. It went viral, and that's how it happened. The Congress is saying we are remaking Rahul Gandhi's image, and part of that involves attacking the Prime Minister directly. And there's enough that's been said. You know, you can say photogenic, photographic is actually just a slip of the tongue. When you say so much, and English isn't clearly his first language, he can make that slip. Now, how big a deal will you make it? But he says, aap karte to hum kyun na kare? That's what the argument really boils down to in substance. If you can pick on things and make them big, we can do the same. Geeta Bhatt.
Rahulji, you see, the condescending manner in which the Congress spokesperson is speaking and targeting everyone is something which is characteristics, of all Congress spokespersons. But the point here is that, you see, we have to understand Mr. Rahul Gandhi. Yes, they need to, Mr. Rahul Gandhi needs to have an ecosystem to support him to continue to become, to maintain in a way his as a political leader of Congress party across the country. But you see, what happened is, Rahulji, they have, in some way, they succeeded in this election in putting up a false narrative regarding that the constitution is going to get changed and the reservation is going to go. Partially, they succeeded in some parts of the country. And that has bolstered them and Mr. Rahul Gandhi and the other people from the Congress party in just speaking anything, blatantly putting forward, saying that, for example, that the defense minister, he has lied in the parliament. He should apologize to everybody. These are Mr. Rahul Gandhi's words. And from the leader of opposition, criticism is something which is required. But, there has to be some kind of a decorum. And in terms of lying like this, putting up videos, let me tell you
okay,
that
I'm out of time on this conversation.
Something which was part of it which was already there before the election. When Mr. Rahul Gandhi
I'm out of time on this conversation. Sanjay Jha wants to make a quick final point before I wrap up. Sanjay, in the interest of fairness, 20 seconds before I conclude.
Yeah. I think, Rahul, the chickens are coming home to roost for the BJP. And this is an elephant in the room that we need to address. The Prime Minister has to set the standards for the public discourse in India. Whatever he says gets a headline, is discussed. He sets a narrative for all our political dialogue in the country. And I think Mr. Modi has the singular responsibility today that if we are having this conversation today on your program, Mr. Modi has to look within and introspect as to what has he done to elevate the level of our political
I'm out
dialogue.
of time on this conversation. Here's what I want to say to players across the political party. We must try and raise the standard of Indian democracy. The level of discourse should be something that all of us as citizens can look up to. Our leaders should really shine through the power of their argument, the power of their rhetoric, not by trying to bring the standard of discourse down, by trying to take it as low as possible. And that really is my fervent hope. But given what we've seen, it seems we're on a very slippery slope and that we could be heading down much faster than any one of us who's watching at this time would like.